For more, here, senior NFL writer for CBSSports.com, Will Brinson joins us from Raleigh, North Carolina. And Will, in reading a piece by Sports Illustrated's Michael Rosenberg today, he, I think, cast this well when he said this is not just a question now of what did the NFL and the team know and when did they know it, but it's really what did the NFL and the team believe and when did they believe it?
Yeah, I mean, Josh, my problem is that this is not, you know, even with Ray Rice, I mean, the horrific video, that was a one-time, seemingly one-time random act by someone who has since shown contrition. Josh Brown, and whether or not he's seeking help or not, I mean, there were 20-plus incidents with his wife. How can you miss that? This is not a random blip on the radar. This is multiple warning signs, multiple red flags. There was an incident this year, in the year 2016 at the Pro Bowl, where the NFL had to, you know, get a separate hotel room for Molly Brown, Josh's ex-wife. They were in the middle of divorce proceedings. And yet the Giants still re-signed him. And we go back to this 2014 statement from John Mara, where he says, you know, this is unacceptable. This cannot exist in our league. We cannot have domestic violence. What this is a blatant public relations reactionary move by both the Giants and the NFL. It's like, oh, people are mad? Well, we're going to react now. When the hard reality, the soft reality is, if you really care about this, then you are proactive and you get out in front of it and you do something before something like this can happen.
And, you know, the re-signing of this player by the Giants came after the Giants at least had reason to believe the knowledge of these journals and letters written by Josh Brown himself detailing the abuse that Molly Brown suffered at his own hands. And yesterday, I was struck by the fact that the team representatives, the mayor in question, confirmed that at no point did the team attempt to talk to Molly Brown about any of this.
Yeah, and John Mara also confirmed, he said that they knew about the Pro Bowl incident. So you have your red flag there. And he also said that Josh Brown had admitted to abusing Molly Brown. So if you've got that information on hand, go and talk to the ex-wife and say, hey, look, you know, first of all, are you doing okay? Is there anything we can do to support you? This is, you know, we feel terrible about this guy that's been one of our employees that's been doing this. Let's check in on this. Second of all, you can't re-sign him if you really want to have a zero-tolerance domestic violence policy, because you know for a fact that he has abused his wife or his ex-wife because he's told you that. It's mind-bogglingly borderline arrogant to just proceed as if none of this matters.
Meanwhile, for the NFL here, I guess the question also remains. The NFL has said it tried to get cooperation with the sheriff's office in question here. It never received the cooperation it sought. However, it knew of Molly Brown's 20-plus accusations of abuse. It knew that, in fact, Josh Brown had sent a letter to friends of the couple detailing the abuse she suffered at his own hands. And, of course, the incident in question where she was moved to a different hotel by NFL security. How much, what does the NFL bear here?
Well, look, these NFL investigations are difficult because there are different areas, and like there's only a certain amount they can proceed legally according to certain restrictions. You would think, though, that they could kind of push past those boundaries, make things happen to ensure that they get all the information. If I'm running the NFL, that's what I'm doing. I'm pushing those boundaries. Whether or not they did, the ultimate fault here with the NFL lies in that after the Ray Rice incident, they created a domestic violence policy that suspended players for 6 games. And they reduced, there were certain contingencies involved in this Josh Brown situation, which inexplicably they decided to reduce the penalty to 1 game. We all know that the Ray Rice incident, the suspension was blatantly too short. His suspension 2 games, blatantly too short. And then they basically did the same thing again. I mean, this is you see True Detective, this is a time is a flat circle situation. It's impossible to believe that the NFL would think that 1 game for a guy with 20-plus domestic violence allegations, an incident at the Pro Bowl, and and this recurring issues in these journals, one game would suffice to teach a lesson when you have a 6-game policy in place. It's incredulous.
And so, very technically, Josh Brown remains a New York Giant at this hour. He is not traveling with the team. The Giants playing the Los Angeles Rams in London this weekend. But I want to get you out of here on this one, Will, because you mentioned it. A zero-tolerance policy that critics saw as nothing more than a public relations ploy. But how can you even make the argument that you call it zero tolerance and then quantify it with 6 games?
Yeah, you can't. And, you know, Josh, I think the thing, too, is if this guy was a third-string special teamer, is he on the team right now, or is he cut immediately? You know, and not like he's a kicker. You know, he's not the quarterback or anything, but he was still an important you know, football piece to this team. I would expect that what we see going forward is they've got Robbie Gould going over to London with him. He had his passport ready. I would expect that they sign Robbie Gould, put Josh Brown on the commissioner's exempt list, which is what they used with Adrian Peterson, Greg Hardy, Ray Rice when they were sorting out all their issues, and then they move forward without Josh Brown, because ultimately the public backlash is going to be so strong that the Giants are just going to want to wash their hands of it. And it's a shame, because that's not the lesson we need to teach. The lesson we need to teach is, hey, if you have a guy who's got multiple allegations of domestic violence, don't sign him. That's the easy move. Don't re-sign him when he was a free agent. You didn't even have to keep him on the roster. He wasn't on the roster. And so I hopefully, you know, teams will learn their lesson, and not in a way that is just trying to placate the public.
You mentioned that commissioner's exempt list created while cases such as these could be litigated and players could be stowed there. Of course, it also does certainly suggest that commissioner in question, Roger Goodell, will have many questions still to answer here. Will Brinson, as always, we very much appreciate your insight.
Absolutely. Anytime, Josh.